I mean, Coach, you were there, as an assistant coach at LSU, and then twice here at Ole Miss. How have you just seen, the city of Omaha, change over the years, hosting this event, and just what makes it a special place to host a championship?
Well, there's some similarities, obviously. It's the pinnacle of college baseball, right? It's the mountaintop, and it's what everybody strives for, at the beginning of the year. And so I don't think that's ever changed in whatever it's been, 70 years, of the College World Series. But obviously, the way Omaha's embraced the College World Series, and that's why it's synonymous, right? Omaha and the College World Series. People don't say I want to get to the College World Series; they say I want to get to Omaha. And so you don't do that without being a special place, and without the people in the community embracing it. And it's not just the fan bases, which we'll have a lot of Ole Miss fans, there, and so will the other 7 schools. But it's embraced so much by the city of Omaha and people around the country. That Mike Clement talks about growing up in Iowa and going to the College World Series when he was a young boy. And not really a fan of anybody, just a fan of the College World Series. And so with that, you see the end of Rosenblatt, several years ago, and then obviously, with the new stadium, Schwab Stadium, I guess now. It's a little hard for me to say right now, but what a cool thing. So I've been as an assistant when I was at Rosenblatt and Neat, and kind of had that historical feel, and but now when you go back, to that Neat Stadium downtown, and it's probably more of a bowl atmosphere, more where you're walking around and every fan is wearing the colors of their schools and their allegiance, and just a neat place.
I felt like there was so much parity in the SEC this year, especially in the West. You look up and now 4 SEC West teams in Omaha. Did you feel that talent when you were going through the gauntlet? Is that something that you can sense?
Yeah, I don't know if it ever feels. We talk about the strength of the SEC and how difficult it is every year. We talk about parity, and it's the question that everybody asks, and I'm sure you've asked it in years past. And I think when you're going through it, you don't look at it that way. You're just looking at the next game. And I know it sounds like coaches speak, but that's the only way you can get through it. But I think probably more so, and the reason for your question this year is probably there's some baseball pundits out there that talked about the SEC being down, or the SEC West, and then you wake up and you look at the end of the year and it's really not the case. And I think that can happen in our league, where you can get fooled. The teams are good, and the same teams may not be good every year or be the best teams, but the league is so good. When you look at the SEC West, and what a great year Auburn's had, and even at 16 wins. But I don't know if you know this, and I think this is a fact. I think they're the most wins in our league that didn't play Tennessee, right? And so 16 wins, really good year. Team that hosts. That's why their RPI was so high. And then the others, obviously, Arkansas, had a great year, and what Coach Schlossnagel's done at A&M and the turnaround, just a terrific year for the SEC.
It was 3 months ago, but you played Auburn 3 times. I mean, is there anything to that familiarity-wise heading into a game like Saturday, or is it?
I don't. Yes and no. I mean, people have asked me, with 4 of the teams, 3 on one side. I think the ease of the scouting reports and knowing, their pitchers, but we're different. Obviously we're, that seems like years ago, and I'm sure for them as well. We're both different clubs now, but it's probably a little easier than a team that you haven't seen, and all you'll see is video. So being a little familiar with them certainly, I think, helps. But at the end of the day, it's less about scouting reports. It's less. All the teams are good. Everybody can win. It's more about playing well. It's more about being able to perform, really well, when it matters the most.
I was chatting with Hunter Elliott a little bit earlier, and he said he's a guy who wants the ball in his hand for those big moments. For him to be 19 and wanting that sort of pressure on him, is it rare to see a guy like that young?
Yeah, I think so. But the guys that match that with talent like he does, and Doug Nikhazy and Drew Pomerantz and others, they're difference makers. Sometimes that's the biggest difference, and it's the one component I think in recruiting and even evaluating in the fall that you know it's hard until they're out there on the big stage. You know, who are the guys that are tough enough, you know, to make the pitches when it counts, and that's why you see a DeLucia and others that, you know, take off, you know, on the big stage. That maybe in the fall they were good, but you know, it was hard to decide if they were the best. And you know, once they got the opportunity, you know, they ran with it. But Hunter's, you know, got that special, you know, quality, you know, that toughness, that grit, you know, whatever adjective you want to use. Guy that wants the ball. And you know, those guys, when again you match it up with, you know, talent, you know, they're special.
Only 600 tickets, Coach, were given to the fans down in Hattiesburg. Obviously, pretty raucous crowd.
Mm-hmm.
What were the thoughts going through your head whenever the team drove in late that Saturday night after winning down in Hattiesburg?
Just, you know, proud, excited. You know, the people that showed up here, you know, at midnight, and you know, we got a little warning, and of course, you know, the Oxford Police Department met us at the, you know, I guess the city limits, and you know, closed every road going into you know, the university here, and just to get off and just to see how excited the fans were. Obviously, you know, we had our moment, you know, 5 or 6 hours prior to that on the field, but you know, to kind of relive it with them was pretty cool.
And coming back, one more question. You were able to share that moment with your daughter, and I know some of your family, and you probably had a couple of phone calls personally for you. How important was it? How special was it to
really
get
cool. Yeah, really cool. You know, they live it with you. When you're a coach, they live, you know, with the wins and the losses. And you know, as a father, sometimes that's unfortunate. You know, you just want them to be regular kids. But you know, I shared it on Twitter because I don't share many, you know, I think personal moments. But that was, you know, I think really cool because I remember back. When we got back from Omaha in 2014, I hadn't seen her in a couple weeks. The last time I saw her was before the Super Regional started, and she was here and met the bus, and she was, you know, little girl. And so, yeah, promised her we'd get back to Omaha. Didn't think it would take, you know, 7 years, but we're back.